Hi, it's Matthew McAllister here. Welcome to episode 3 in my series visiting the Scottish luthier Michael Ritchie in his workshop up at the very far north of Scotland. I hope you've already checked out episodes 1 and 2 where you get to see Michael hands-on in his workshop building the guitars and focusing on the guitar that he is building for this summer's Gallery of Guitar competition. So before we delve into the third episode where you get to see all sorts of things that Michael's got in the pipeline, I want to talk to you about just 2 things. The first is, if you haven't already registered for the Gallery of Guitar competition, then you are missing out. There is so much benefit from putting yourself forward for the competition. The deadline for entries and also for receiving your videos is the 28th of April, so you've got just about 1 month left at this stage. And go to the links below in the description and check out the details of how to apply and what to do. But the chances of winning professional, public, paid concerts, cash prizes, an incredible guitar by Michael that you can check out in episode 1 of this series, these are great opportunities, so make sure you don't miss out. Of course, as always, the competition is broadcast online on Gallery of Guitar with a really supportive and very experienced jury as well. So it's a great opportunity for you to get your music and performance listened to by the very best. Michael has very generously offered a 20% discount on any guitar that he's got in the pipeline coming up between now and July, now and the Classical Guitar Retreat, and that includes commissions if you want something really special. So again, there'll be a link in the description to that very generous offer from Michael, and it just shows how much of a contribution our Scottish luthiers here are making to a wonderful competition that's based in St Andrews in Scotland at the Classical Guitar Retreat, and of course here on Gallery of Guitar. So without further ado, let's check out episode 3 in this series all about the Scottish luthier Michael Ritchie. Apart from the competition guitar and, you know, the general things that go on in your workshop all the time, what else have you got going on? What else is on the bench?
Well, I've got quite a few guitars in the pipeline. This one is worth a look. It's a stunning piece of Cocobolo.
Wow.
Absolutely beautiful, that is.
Incredible, yeah.
All the colour, almost rust.
So what's Cocobolo? Why is that different from Indian rosewood or...?
Well, it's the same species, Dalbergia. Dalbergia retusa, I think, is Cocobolo. I've not used Cocobolo a lot, so I'm a little bit new to it, if you like. Mm-hmm. But this is what I've got ready to use, if you like. So I've had this for a number of years, and it's time to use it, so here we go, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit denser, heavier than Indian rosewood, so I tend to make it a little bit thinner. Right. And I've got this rosette, which goes nicely. It's using the woods in the rosette, there's many woods in there, mostly Jarrah, which is an Australian wood, ebony, boxwood, and then there's little, you can maybe zoom in later, but there's little tiny triangles with various colours in between. There's all sorts of wood in there, I can't remember what's in there. There's ebony, mahogany, cedar, rosewood. Yeah.
Wow, so that's in the pipeline, so that's going to come together in the next few months as well, I'm guessing too.
Well, that'll be this year for sure. I've got another one which is kind of like a partner to the competition guitar. Yeah. It was. I hadn't actually decided which one was which. To be honest, so this one is a possibility, I suppose. Still. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful rosette.
Yeah. So that's at a similar stage to the competition. So
do you normally build like in 2s or 3s, or what happens? How many guitars do you set out on?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with 3. 4 can get a little bit much, you know. Yeah. Because you're going over every process on each guitar at the same time. Yeah. 4 is okay, but I'm quite comfortable with 3, and 2 is quite nice. Recently I did 1, which is the first 1 guitar I've made for a while, but I really enjoyed that.
Is that the one behind us right now?
Well, no, that was in a batch of 3. So these 2, and there was a spruce with Bacotti. Yes, so it's quite nice to do them. I always feel that you might as well do 2 or 3.
Okay.
Because, you know, the amount of work that goes into doing it once, it isn't that much to then just do it again, you know, a couple of times. So 3's probably my preferred number to build at the one time.
So with these 2 instruments on the go, in conjunction with the guitar, for the competition in July, you've got 3 on the bench at the moment that you're
the Coca-Cola one's probably coming a bit later. I've got this other one here, which is another spruce top.
Wow.
With Honduran rosewood.
Okay.
Which is, it's got a little bit more pink to it.
Wow.
And I think when that's polished, it's going to be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And so that's got a quilted cedar strip in the centre, with a black line just to sort of define the edge a little bit. So that'll be nice. And the top, it's got quite a simple rosette.
Wow.
So that's very old spruce. Very old spruce.
So when you say very old spruce, what are you? I mean, you're obviously, you know, your workshop here, like Michael, has just tons of wood. I'm probably not allowed to say how much wood you've got, but you've got so much great wood that you're storing and you're keeping. And I guess there's an element of that curing over time and drying and things. So when you say old, how old is?
Well, I bought that from Rolf in 2006. And it was ready to use then, so I can't tell you exactly. But that's,
and when you say Rolf, for people that
Rolf Eichinger, who was the guitar maker in Granada that showed me how to do it in that way, you know. So that wood was ready to use then, and I've had it for the best part of 20 years since. So I mean, it's potentially 40 years old.
And what's the benefit of using the wood that's older?
Well, it's drier. All the resins have crystallized, solidified. All the moisture's gone, so it's more stable and sounds better. I think the drier the timber, I think that has an effect on the sound of the guitar and the stability of the guitar.
So that's so essential that here in this workshop. There's, you know, there are various things measuring the amount of moisture in the air all the time, you know, whether it be bits of wood, whether it be actual, you know, is it a hygrometer? Hygrometer, there you go.
So is that in short?
I'll bring it in.
Hygrometer. So I've glued strips of wood to this. We'll bring that out.
Yeah, we'll get some close-ups.
It's just a bit of fun, really. But so these strips, imagine this is like a cross section of a soundboard with a transverse bar glued to it, and then I've glued it in a low humidity and then planed it down to almost nothing to allow it to create this curvature. And so depending on as the humidity rises, the curvature grows, and as it shrinks, it narrows.
So then you can almost see that by sight. You can just look and see, to some extent, certainly a movement.
I've been marking it where you know, here's up. It was around here at 73%. You know, and I sort of put it into different humidities
to test it
and see where it goes. And it's just for fun, really, but it is quite interesting. And then you've got the digital method. And then I've got the digital once it's
so you can compare. And is it pretty Is it pretty? Do you think it's kind of usually pretty much similar between the analog and the digital?
Well, this one's saying just under 47. This one's saying just under 45, and this is saying 47. So this one is agreeing with this. And that's the thing. The digital one, for instance, here's another digital one says 42, so it's agreeing with this one.
Okay.
So somewhere in the middle of all that is the truth.
Up. You know? Great.
And for me, the cabinet's what's important. I'm not so bothered about the humidity of the workshop. The cabinet's humidified.
So and this is, you've got a very, very sort of extensive cabinet here, and all the wood is below.
All the wood's stored in here, so it's all tops and backs, bridges and whatever here, and then as the parts come together, they hang here, and as the guitars come together, they hang here.
So should we be as guitar players, should we be trying to keep our instruments in a cabinet like this or something? What should we be doing?
Well, I think Well, I mean, you've got to be realistic, don't you? But I think having a hygrometer is having a hygrometer in the room where your guitar lives or spends most of its time isn't a bad idea. You can get them on Amazon, eBay for 5-10 quid.
And what are we looking at them being at? What
40,
number?
I think 45. Think of 45.
Okay.
And this cabinet floats between 40 and 50.
Okay.
So I'm comfortable in that range.
Yeah.
The real worry for the guitar is when it goes down. So if you're starting to see 30 and less than 30, then the wood's hygroscopic. So
I'm glad you're saying that, not me.
So that means it takes in moisture and also loses moisture. So when it loses the moisture, it shrinks. So that's why the more seasoned and the older the wood, the better. Yeah. And the other thing is when it's more humid, then the sound can start to get a little bit tubby, I think.
Okay, yeah.
You've maybe I don't know if you've noticed.
I think I might have noticed that playing in extremely
tropical.
Yeah, like going to places that are near the equator, essentially, these really, really humid places, and the guitar just sounds like there's nothing there. It's kind of that kind of thing, like really. It almost sounds wet. The sound, So
you'd probably want to build for an environment like that. You would maybe raise the humidity you're building in. Or storing the wood in.
So you're then trying to build for a sort of general humidity that will work for a player in your location, in your geography, or?
Well, I mean, I think that's asking quite a lot, but you could take it into consideration. But 45 is a sort of medium humidity.
That seems to work across.
That helps for all humidities, if you like.
Yeah, amazing.
And the thing to watch out for is central heating. When you put your central heating on, I know when the central heating goes on, I'm going to get some phone calls. Yeah. Because people's guitars start to misbehave, if you like.
Yeah.
Because the central heating dries the air. So if you've got a hygrometer, you can see that. You can see it's going down. Let's turn the radiator off in that room or whatever, or move the guitar.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, listen, thank you for all the tips again. It's just this is the thing, we play the guitars as guitar players out there, and sometimes I have many fantastic colleagues, great players, and I don't think they know anything about how the instrument's put together. I mean, they might know some things, but I'm always, as a player, I'm fascinated spending time with you, finding out more about how the thing works and how it's put together, because it does inform my understanding of how to play it. It does actually have an impact on things that I might think about when I'm putting a piece of music together and thinking about the instrument, and even if that's helping telling the story of the music a little bit more, because you've got an understanding of the instrument. But both things, I think, are it's just so good to know more and more about the instrument. So thanks for sharing all your tips.
Oh, you're welcome. Always a pleasure, Matthew.
Oh, it's great. Thanks again.